Hey everybody, it's George from DinosaurGeorge.com. Cameron from Boston, Massachusetts says, hey Dinosaur George, I'm a 12-year-old kid and I'm planning to be a paleontologist and I have two questions. Well, first of all, Cameron, good. I'm glad to hear that. One, I have an idea that Triceratops and other dinosaurs have those frills and other appendages not for attack and defense, but to show others, to show potential mates. That's probably a pretty good analogy. Now, here's what I think, Cameron. One of the things you learn about nature is it doesn't waste anything. I think those appendages, those frills on their back of the neck, or on the back of the skull, those were not just for one purpose. I think they would have been for both. I think they clearly could have been used as a way to attract a mate or threaten a rival or even threaten an attacker. But I also think they served the purpose to also shield the neck. They may have also served the purpose of acting like giant radiators to help cool the animal down. The animals may have been capable of pumping blood up to them and using that as a way to disperse the heat within their body. So one thing about the big frills on ceratopsians is they may have had a variety of uses. But I do think that's a good point, that they may have used them as a way to attract a mate. He said, my second question is about my favorite dinosaur, Utahraptor. Did he really hunt in packs? Well, Cameron, yeah, as best we can tell, they did hunt in packs, and I'll tell you why. In Utah, they found a couple of different places where they found groups of Utahraptor that were found together that had all died together at the same time in the same place. That's a pretty good indication of pack hunting. Now, let me preface that by saying that sometimes animals that normally don't hunt together come together for different reasons. Mating could be one. All being attracted to a food source could be one. So that fossil evidence could be a little misleading because we find a bunch of them together. It doesn't mean they spend their lives together. But in my opinion, there's been enough evidence when it comes to members of the raptor family to show that these animals did hunt cooperatively, and I believe Utahraptor would have been an example of one of those animals. Okay, Aziz from Al-Asema, Kuwait. I hope I pronounced that correct, Aziz. Aziz, first of all, greetings, and it's nice to have somebody from Kuwait with us, so welcome to the group. What is the strongest mammalian predator on land? Wow, wow, man, you threw me a curveball here, brother. This is a toughie. I would guess that the strongest mammalian predator would have probably been Megistotherium. He was a gigantic wolf from Libya that lived, I think, during the Miocene period. He was a gigantic wolf-like creature. If it wasn't him, then it was probably the short-faced bear, Arctodus simus. He may have been the most powerful. He was a big-time bad dude. In fact, he may have even been stronger than Megistotherium now that I think about it. But anyway, whatever the case is, it was one of those two, I'm almost sure. One was a giant bear, one was a giant wolf. My money, I guess, would probably have to be on the short-faced bear. He was just a big, bad, nasty dude. Okay, Alex from Buffalo, New York. If you could travel back in time to any point in the 160 million year history of dinosaurs, when would it be in terms of millions of years and why? What a wickedly cool question, Alex. Now, this is cool. All right, answer for me, pretty simple. 150 million years ago, I would have wanted to go back and look at Allosaurus. Now, certainly there were a lot of more advanced dinosaurs. It would be cool to see Tyrannosaurus Rex. It would be cool to see Utahraptor. It would be cool to see Deinonychus. Phew. But I have loved Allosaurus since I was a kid, and the very first dinosaur bone I ever found was the bone of an Allosaurus. So in my mind, Allosaurus and I have a very big connection. And therefore, I would say I would want to see one. I'd want to see them walking around. I'd want to see, what is their skin texture like? What is their color? What do they sound like? Do they work as a cooperative group? Do they live in family units? But I would want the ability to leave that time period at a moment's notice because there was some pretty wicked stuff. But can you imagine traveling back 150 million years and seeing a huge sauropod walk by, or look at a Stegosaurus, look at a Ceratosaurus? Oh man, standing there staring at Seismosaurus as it walked by. Did the ground really shake? Man, what an adventure that would be, huh? But that's where I'd want to go, Alex. That's a cool question, man. All right, William from Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Hi, Dino George. Could you come to my school? I love dinosaurs. You know, William, I would love to come to your school. I go to schools all over the country. I speak at elementary schools and high schools, and I speak at colleges and universities and museums. Certainly, if any of you out there, it is difficult to get me to come to schools outside of the Texas area because there's travel fees involved, but I do, and it's very affordable. I try my best not to charge a lot. If any of you would like to see me speak at an organization or a museum or a school, speak to those folks, have them go to my website. There's a page called Book Dinosaur George. There's actually a form they can fill out, and there's a calendar that shows where I'm speaking. I would love to. I'd love to do that, William. I'd certainly love to come to Tennessee. Okay, finally, I was pronouncing it Thien, but Thien, I think you said I was pronouncing it wrong. Is it Thien or Thien? Maybe it's Thien from Bangor, Maine. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Again, recontact me if I'm mispronouncing your name, buddy, because I sure don't want to do that. He says, hi, Dinosaur George. I was wondering, what was the first Jurassic Fight Club made, and how long have you liked dinosaurs? Cool questions, man. Okay, I've loved dinosaurs since I was 4. And I've never lost my interest in them, and I love them as much today. I mean, look, I take the time to answer these questions simply because I love them so much. So I've loved them since I was a kid. Actually, Jurassic Fight Club is an interesting thing. It took us a year just to produce a segment to show to the History Channel so that they would be interested in buying the show concept. So it took us a long time to work on that. But the first one we did, the very first one we did, was Majungatholus, the Majungatholus episode. That was the first one. Now, the way television shows are made is you don't start with one and you go all the way till it's done and then you start the next one. Actually, what you're doing is you're filming all 12 of them at one time. We would go to a museum and we'd walk through a museum, and I would find the different animals that I knew were going to be in a show or associated with the show, and I would tell the director of photography or the director, that dinosaur right there is going to be needs to be part of a show. That one over there needs to be filmed. And then I would pick the experts and would bring the experts in and we'd interview them all at one time. Like when we were interviewing Dr. Larry Whitmer, we would sit down and I would sit in a chair next to the camera and Dr. Whitmer would be in front of me, and I would say, okay, Dr. Whitmer, do you think a dinosaur like Tyrannosaurus Rex had the ability to think before it attacked? And then Dr. Whitmer would answer that question. And then I would say, okay, I know that Majungatholus is going to be a next dinosaur. I'd say, okay, Dr. Whitmer, would you tell me what you think about the brain function of a dinosaur like Majungatholus? So Dr. Whitmer would answer all these questions, man. Sometimes those poor guys would spend an hour there. And then we would go out and film the different locations where we wanted to. So, and then the animators. I would go in and work with the animators, and they might be working on an Allosaurus over here, a T-Rex over there, a Gastonia over there. There was a big crew of people. So the very first show we really began to finish was the Majungatholus show, because that was the first one that was aired. But we really filmed all of them at one time. All right, if you guys have questions about anything to do with prehistoric life, it doesn't have to only be dinosaurs, it can be anything. Go to my website, dinosaurgeorge.com. Click on the Ask Dinosaur George page and send me your question. Remember to try to keep the questions kind of short. If they're really, really long, I just physically do not have the time to be able to answer those. So make them kind of short. You don't have to make them bullet point. And while you're there, join my Facebook group. I've got a lot of people that watch these videos on Facebook. And follow me on Twitter. I do a lot of cool stuff on Twitter. I've got some cool upcoming news. And so through Twitter and Facebook is how I usually announce it, and then through my website. All right, everybody, take care. Take care of yourselves. We're getting very close to the Christmas time. So everybody, treat your neighbors and your friends and your family with respect. For you young people out there, make sure to practice your reading skills, and everybody use good manners. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and all of the other greetings I can think of. I will see you guys again soon. Take care.